Okay, so here we are with the Pixel 9 Pro and the Pixel 10 Pro XL. I think I'm going to go ahead and label this as my review of the Pixel 10 Pro XL. Now, this review is going to get a bit ranty at times, so please just bear with me. If you don't like those types of reviews, that's totally okay. Also, I'm going to kind of be all over the place. This isn't a scripted review. I do have some notes, but I have a pretty good idea of what I want to say about the Pixel 10 Pro XL. So let's just go ahead and dive in and start talking about the device. I'm going to scoot the Pixel 9 Pro back here a little bit. I don't really have much to say about that, but let's talk about this device, the Pixel 10 Pro XL. Now, of course, this being the latest and greatest from Google, there are tons of reviews out right now. Seems like everyone is doing phone reviews nowadays. I even saw the standard Pixel 10 review from IGN, and I'm like, okay, when did IGN start doing reviews? But it's just something everyone's doing nowadays, I guess. So it's a very crowded niche, and it seems like depending on the review you watch, kind of dictates what information you get. So what I say might kind of contrast what another reviewer says, or what they say might contrast with what I say. So sometimes I feel like it's getting increasingly difficult to do a phone review. But the Pixel 10 Pro XL is a flagship device, but it's not a flagship in some way. So let's just talk about the areas that this phone is a flagship device. Okay, the display, this is definitely a flagship display. I have no complaints about it. One of my reviewers that I'm not going to name, he says that he doesn't like the brightness of the Pixel 10 series, that it's not bright compared to a Samsung. And honestly, outdoors compared to my OnePlus 13, this Pixel 10 Pro XL is like so much brighter outdoors. Now, I'm not sure how long it can sustain it, but just in my usage, usually if I'm outdoors, I'm having trouble kind of seeing anyway with my eye condition. So when I pull out my phone, I'm usually just trying to do something really quick. I don't keep it out in the sun on max brightness for very long. I usually just fire off something within a couple minutes and it's back in my pocket. So the display is definitely a flagship display. Okay, the build quality on the Pixel 10 Pro XL, it's definitely flagship quality. Absolutely top tier. Love the build quality, love the feel in the hand of the Pixel 10 Pro XL. Pixel Snap is definitely a game changer for probably a lot of people. Now, for me, it's not a big deal, but it's just nice to see Google bringing that to the table with the Pixel 10 series devices. I hope to see other Android makers follow this. It's Qi 2, I believe, on the 10 and 10 Pro, and 2.2 here on the XL. Now, from the reviewers that I watched, the cameras are a bit of a mixed bag. I'm not much of a picture or video taker on smartphones. It's not really an area I care too much about, as long as it's pretty good. But nowadays, it seems like each maker is kind of carving out their look. Samsung has their look, OnePlus has theirs, the Pixel has theirs, the iPhone. Depending on how you want your photos, kind of, if that's a heavily weighted factor for you, is the quality of photos and videos, kind of dictates what phone you choose nowadays. And that's kind of the same for performance here. You're going to see lots of people talk about the Tensor G5 chipset, and I have heard and understand both sides of this equation. You have those that say, the day-to-day tasks is just fine, and that is true. And then you have those that say, for the price, it should have a flagship SoC in it, and I definitely agree with that. And the daily usage on the Pixel 10 Pro XL may be as fast as something like my OnePlus 13, but the fact of the matter is, this is a $1,200 device, and in my opinion, it needs to be about $200 cheaper. You may hear some people say it needs to be $100 cheaper, $150 cheaper. I'm going to say $200 cheaper for this device, because the next Snapdragon chipset is right around the corner for devices launching later this year in markets outside the US, and then devices coming early next year in 2026 with the next Qualcomm chip. So again, that's going to put the Pixel 10 series 2 years behind again. And I know people talk about benchmarks. I don't run benchmarks on my channel. Of course, I do look at them. Of course, I recommend people take those with a grain of salt. That don't mean everything. But again, if you put two devices side by side, if I go grab my OnePlus 13 and I set that next to this Pixel 10 Pro XL, and right now the OnePlus is actually, let me go grab the OnePlus. Okay, let's check the price of the OnePlus 13. So right now the OnePlus 13 with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gig storage, which is the one I have here, you can get that for $1,000, $200 cheaper than this phone right here. and that just doesn't sit right with me. And of course, both of these phones will go on sale. The cheapest I've seen, the OnePlus 13, I believe for the 12256 was $749, I believe, and that's a really good deal. But this phone is about halfway through its life cycle here in the US. Still a great phone though, and it'll hold up great throughout 2026. But that just doesn't sit right. The fact that this OnePlus has the top tier Snapdragon chipset for $200 less, and it's also better in a lot of areas than the Pixel 10 Pro XL. Much faster charging. You've got better battery life, and I'm going to touch on that a little more in just a second. Much faster charging. Again, cameras is personal preference, but I'm sure that this OnePlus 13 is closer to the 10 Pro XL in photos and videos than you think. You've got the alert slider, which as of right now, that's kind of a plus on the OnePlus devices. But with the OnePlus 15 next year, they are taking this away. It's going to be like an action button style button like on the iPhone. So that is going away. But as of right now, it's just easier to use this switch to change the ringer mode. Now, in terms of speakers, I do much prefer the Pixel 10 Pro XL speakers. The speakers are flagship, kind of keeping a tally here of the things that are flagship. The display is definitely flagship. The build quality, the speakers are flagship. The biometrics on the Pixel 10 Pro XL, I would say, are better than my OnePlus 13. Not to the extent that, it like really bothers me or makes me feel behind with the biometrics on the OnePlus 13. Like these are bad on the 13 because they're not. They're just better on the 10 Pro XL. The Face Unlock works with like my banking apps, all my financial apps, right? And my password manager Bitwarden. It can unlock that with my face. The fingerprint sensors, ultrasonic under display, it's absolutely fantastic. It's lightning fast. Not any better, though, than the one on my 9 Pro. I don't feel like the biometrics this year are any better than last year, to be honest with you. You may find reviewers who say that they are, but in my opinion, I don't think they're any better than the 9 series last year. So the biometrics are definitely flagship level here on the 10 Pro XL. So let's touch a little bit more on performance with the Tensor G5. There are lots of people out there who say, if you just don't look at the benchmarks, if you don't look at this, you don't look at that, it doesn't matter. But, like I said, you put these two phones side by side. This one's $1,000. This one's $1,200. And yes, the 10 Pro XL has those 7 years of updates. But let's be honest, who's keeping a device that long? I feel like around the 4 or 5 year mark, people are probably just ready for a new phone anyway. And so here on the OnePlus 13, I'm pretty sure it's 4 years of Android, 6 years of security. So you're still, good to go. And it is true, the day-to-day usage on these devices, feels pretty much identical to me. But if I'm paying the same amount of money, let alone more, for the Pixel device, I want the best. I want the best chip. It doesn't matter about the day-to-day usage. I want the best chip that's available for a smartphone if I'm paying that kind of money. And I just feel like a lot of other reviewers are trying to excuse that fact just because the day-to-day usage is fine, because these devices feel the same in the daily usage. And that is true, so I definitely can't take away from that statement. And it's not about needing the power. I've seen a lot of comments on reviews about, oh, who needs that kind of power? Who needs, Snapdragon 8 Elite power? And again, it's not about needing it, but if these two devices are the same price, and again, more expensive, the Pixel is $200 more, why does it not have the top tier chip? That makes no sense to me. And according to some of the reviews that I've seen, I don't go deep into, testing all the different aspects of a display. I just don't have the equipment to do that. But the reviewers that I trust, the Pixel 10 series is a step backwards from the 9 in some ways, like the camera sensor on the 10 series, right? It's a smaller sensor than last year's 9 series. And as of right now, I don't know if this can be fixed with an update or not, but the GPU performance is a downgrade this year with the Tensor G5 versus the Tensor G4. Like, how does that happen? How is this a step backwards in some ways? It's just, it's weird. And I feel like you just can't do that for $1,200. But the truth is, Google doesn't care what I say about the price. They don't care what the big reviewers say. They're going to charge what they're going to charge for it. And that's not to say this is a bad phone, because it's not bad. It's just bad for the money, right? It needs to be cheaper. And some of the issues that I have that I do believe will get ironed out with software updates, I've had Bluetooth issues with my Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, even after the latest update. And I'll hop in here and show you guys that I am on the latest update. So there was an update a few days ago for like 73 megabytes, and there was some stuff in there about Bluetooth, and so I was kind of hoping it would be fixed, but as of right now, the recording of this video, those Bluetooth issues have not been fixed. I've had issues with my apps just kind of hanging up, right? I'll be using an app and it'll just like nothing, right? Just a solid white screen or black screen, no responsiveness. I've had issues with websites in Google Chrome where like the web page elements are like way up here, and so I exit, I swipe up to go home, long press, app info, force close the app, clear the cache, open it back up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, another one that just drives me absolute crazy because, I make phone calls pretty frequently, as I'm sure most of you do. And please let me know if you guys have any of these issues. I'm just really curious to know if anyone else is having these issues. But when I get a phone call, and a lot of the time I use speaker. It's about half and half. Half the time it's the earpiece, half the time it's speakerphone. When I go to make a call or I answer a call and I tap the speaker icon, there is a 1 second delay, and that just drives me nuts. Why does there have to be a 1 second delay switching back and forth from the earpiece to speakerphone? If I in the same scenario on my OnePlus 13, as soon as I tap the speaker icon, I mean I can tap it like instantly and it'll switch as fast as I can tap the speaker icon. And kind of touching on cellular reception, you'll find people who say, "Oh, I haven't had any issues with cell reception." But the fact of the matter is, the Snapdragon 8 Elite will have better reception no matter where you go, right? It's not about this being fine. It's just this is better, right? And again, I keep circling back to the price, $1,200 for the 10 Pro XL. And as of right now, the OnePlus 13 is $1,000. And this will just have better cellular reception. If I'm paying this money, right, flagship money, I want the best of the best under the hood, right? So, and again, that may not matter to some people, just kind of like the camera department. The camera department doesn't matter a whole lot to me. So it just kind of depends on what's the heaviest, what's the most important category in a smartphone for you. It may be the updates that the Pixel gives, the day one updates. It may just be that it's a clean software. And I would press the people who really love the Pixel to try out a OnePlus device because I think it's really clean with more customization than the Pixel has. Not overwhelming though. I think the OnePlus has a better settings app, personally. The settings app on the Pixel just kind of feels overwhelming. So let's jump in here. So we can look how there's just seems like there's a lot in here, right? There is. I feel like Google could condense this, and I believe I said this last year with my Pixel 9 Pro review. I feel like Google could condense some of this in the settings app. I mean, that is a lot compared to here on the OnePlus. You go in and that's it. Like, definitely not as much. And I feel like the way OnePlus organizes the settings app just makes more sense, right? On the Pixels, I feel like you just have to jump through more to do what you're trying to do, such as, like Bluetooth. And that's just counterintuitive. I feel like Google has this big push for AI that you still have to double check and make sure the info's correct that it's presenting you with. So is it really saving you time? Is it really that helpful in the end? You know, who's using all these AI features? Now, me personally, the ones I use the most are probably the AI summary for web pages and articles. Gemini, right? I have the Gemini icon here on my home screen. Now, some of the AI features that I think are pretty cool on the 10 Pro XL are the ones built into the phone application. So here we are in the settings of the phone of the 10 Pro XL and the OnePlus 13. And as you can see, The OnePlus 13 does not have all of these features. Now, granted, I think Magic Q, I mean, it just seems like if you go to the MyPixel app and you start reading about Magic Q, it's like very specific scenarios that it works in, right? So, new AI feature, maybe, and as of right now, it's only like system apps that it works with. So, we'll go in here to the settings, the actual phone settings, Magic Q, and if you scroll down, use data from specific apps. These are the only apps that it works with right now. I'm sure Google is going to kind of work on this so it works with more apps, but just like default. Pixel screenshots, Gmail, messages, keep notes, contacts, calendar. So that's all it really works with right now. But the Pixel they both have caller ID and spam, but in terms of the others, OnePlus doesn't have all of the AI built in. So if you do get a lot of spam calls, which I don't, I have 3 separate phone numbers and I barely get any spam. And if I do, I just report it as spam and block it, right? And that seems to work. The ones that I feel like work the best on the Pixel, which call screen has been around for some time. The take a message is pretty cool. So instead of like relying on your carrier for voicemail, if you get a call and you decline it, then you'll get a notification that says taking a message. So it'll be like sort of a Gemini voice, I believe, that kind of answers the phone for you. And you get like a transcript and the recorded message of what they said in their message. So that's pretty neat. I do like that one. It's not, like a deal breaker for me, but take a message does work pretty good. I do like that. Voice translate, that may be handy to you guys. From what I know, it works pretty good when you're in a phone call. So you can talk across different languages in real time. It says in your voice, so I'm guessing maybe it kind of trains this model to kind of sound like your voice. So that is pretty neat. If you have family or friends that you talk to often, but there's like a language barrier. So the AI features in the phone work pretty well. But again, I come back to Google's push with AI. It's like, are they trying to make us an AI device, or are they trying to sell us an AI device or a good smartphone? Because in many ways, just the day-to-day usability, I feel like the Pixel is kind of counterintuitive, and the OnePlus just works better. Just a quick example here. You have to swipe down twice on the Pixel to access brightness, and on the OnePlus you just swipe down once, right? And there's your brightness slider. And I think it's pretty cool to also have a volume slider in here, right? That's handy. I don't use that too often, but that's pretty handy. The change I like the most with the Material 3 Expressive is the fact that you can have more quick toggles here now, right? Before it was just like 4 large ones, and that was it. And as you can see here, I have 1 large one. I like to see what Wi-Fi network I'm connected to, so that's why it's large. So I can kind of see the name of the Wi-Fi network. But the rest of these are small toggles that can just be, toggled on and off, right? So definitely like that change with Material 3 Expressive. The icons, I like those, the Wi-Fi signal, airplane mode. But again, that's very minor stuff that, I don't have an issue with on the OnePlus either. But the OnePlus does have more customization. If we go to wallpapers and style, you can change the font of the OnePlus, and you can actually change the icon shapes, the icon size, and you just can't do this stuff on the Pixel. And I'm not sure why. This seems like basic level customization to me. Why does the Pixel not have this? I'm not sure. Maybe Google has done their own internal research and they found that people don't really change this stuff if you're a Pixel user. I'm not sure. It's just pure speculation, just thinking out loud. The battery life has been pretty dang solid on the Pixel 10 Pro XL. I'm not sure if it's been as good as my OnePlus, but close enough in day-to-day usage. But depending on what you do specifically, the OnePlus could come out ahead. In some reviews that I've seen, in just pure video playback, the Pixel was able to achieve something like 20 hours, and the OnePlus 13 was like 28 hours. So it's more efficient. I'm assuming, right? I guess that's what we can gather from that kind of test. It's more power efficient in video playback, which is something I do a lot on my devices. But battery life, I can definitely say it's good, and that's kind of the issue with this phone is it's $1,200. It's definitely a flagship device, right? We shouldn't just be saying this is a good phone. We should be saying this is a very good device. This is a damn good device, right? But for me, in my opinion, I'm not able to say that. I'm not able to say this is a damn good device. Even at $1,000, I'm not sure I'd be able to say that because the regular price for the S25 Plus is $1,000. So it may even need to be cheaper than $1,000 in my opinion. For the price that Google is wanting for the Pixel 10 series, all of them in my opinion, we should be saying this is a damn good device. In my opinion, it's just not. So who can I recommend this phone to? Well, honestly, I think Marques Brownlee said it the best in his review, and I usually don't quote reviewers directly in my reviews, but if you like a Pixel, you will like this phone. If you didn't like the Pixel before, this one isn't going to convince you. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next video.